Hi, Elena.
Hello, Alex.
Hi, participants. People are joining. So we are now we'll check the sound. I will play a short video and you please give us a sign that you can hear it well. Just type in either a plus or a smile in the chat box, whatever you prefer.
I always wanted to be an English teacher. People remember the teachers that meant something to them, that inspired them, that saw them for who they could be, recognized their potential, and helped them reach it. Becoming that teacher is who I want to be, to motivate my students, to support their learning and help them reach their goals. Learning a language is an exciting journey, but it isn't straightforward. Every learner needs support and encouragement, and every learner is different. I wasn't sure I'd have the skills to help all my students succeed. My Cambridge English teaching qualification gave me the knowledge and confidence to teach English. It also provided me real-life teaching experience and the skills to be able to find the right approach for the different challenges students face day to day. There are times where learning English can be challenging. I understand. I've been there too. The practical skills and knowledge I gained from taking a teaching qualification helped me to understand how my students learn English, how I can help them overcome their challenges, and keep them motivated throughout their learning journey. And I'm happy I've given them the confidence to succeed. Moments like these make it all worthwhile. I am proud to have the opportunity to help my students realize their potential and achieve their goals. Become the teacher you want to be.
Okay, great. Judging from your replies, you can hear us well. You could hear the recording well. And before we go on, and before Yelena introduces our presenter to those of you who didn't participate yesterday, and she will welcome you to the second part of our program. So I would like to remind you about a few things around housekeeping. So first of all, we hope you have no troubles with your internet connection. If you are running several programs, have several tabs open on your browser, to avoid any technical issues, we recommend you to close them. And you may also want to unplug any devices you are not wanting to use for the next 2 hours. If the video appears fuzzy or the sound quality drops, you may need to refresh or try another browser. We strongly recommend using either Chrome or Firefox. If you have any questions, please be sure to type them either in the chat box, but the most preferable option is the question box field in the upper right corner of the screen. We had an issue yesterday when you typed in your answers to the presenter's questions both in the question box in the chat box, which was not quite convenient for the presenter to see everything. So if you would just type in your answers in the chat box and ask any questions you have in the question box, that would be perfect. Just to remind you that all our sessions are being recorded, and we'll be happy to share all the materials with you early next week when all the 3 sessions are done. Okay, now Yelena, I'm giving floor to you.
Okay, hello, hi, and welcome to our webinar organized by Cambridge University Press and Assessment. Do you happen to know how many participants we were really happy to meet yesterday during our first session on TKT Module 1? More than 800 registered and around 500 teachers worked really hard yesterday during the session on TKT task types for the first module. They were going to invest in their future self as a teacher, and they put all the time and energy into yesterday's training session. So today we are about to tell you the secret of how successfully pass TKT Module 2. That is all about lesson planning and use of resources for language teaching. Just a couple of remarks. So firstly, at the beginning of the session and at the end of the session, I'll be sharing some links with the resources available. However, if you miss them, just don't worry, because you'll receive all the links in the follow-up letter after the webinar, alongside with a recording and a certificate of attendance. Very important thing. There is a great chance to get a free digibook on ALT methodology. Please check your emails and fill in a special form, and you'll receive this digibook from the Cambridge University Press. Anna, our presenter, can you hear us well? Can you go on air, please?
Hello, Elena. Good to see you.
Hello, Anna. That was a great success yesterday. As I said, we had 500 teachers. Okay, so
That's impressive.
absolutely, those who didn't meet Anna yesterday, let me introduce Anna Kashcheeva, Cambridge teacher trainer with lots of years of experience, Celta Delta trainer, and she'll be your guide today. Thank you all, and let's start.
Thank you very much, Elena. Yeah, let's get started indeed. Hello, everyone. Good to see you here. Thank you for joining me again, or thank you for joining me today. Some of you who missed the previous session but are still interested in exploring TKT. Welcome to this 3-day event. So this is the second day, obviously. We are focusing on Model 2 today, but I'll help you revise some of the most important things that we covered yesterday. And also we'll delve into some issues related with lesson planning. So Elena has already signposted. So I want to encourage you to be active participants. Please use the chat box to show that you can hear me, see me, and so on. If I have a question, please respond to my questions. Thank you for using pluses in the chat box. That's amazing. Great. And as Alexander has mentioned, you can use the special section for questions. And at the end of the webinar, of course, I'll have a look at that section and also answer all of them. As Yelena mentioned, I am a Celta and Delta trainer, but I'm also a teaching practitioner. So I keep teaching real students and obviously running some teacher training courses as well. So I have no intention of leaving the classroom anytime soon. And that's why I'm eager to share some practical things for those who are interested in developing professionally. Let's run a quick icebreaker. So type in the chat box, number 1, if you have attended the previous webinar, if you know something about Module 1. Okay, great. We have quite a few people, who came to the previous webinar. That's amazing. We are going to build on that. Could you please type in 2 if it is your first session? Good, a couple of 2s. Okay, welcome. That's amazing. We're going to have some fun today. I'll show you some sample tasks, but also give you some important information about TKT in general and the peculiarities of this model as well, right? Great, okay. And type in S3 if you are eager to take part in the next webinar. Okay, looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, yeah? So we can continue and complete this course, right? And I'm sure by the end of completing the whole course, you'll be very confident, yeah? And eager to take the course, to take the test, yeah? So you can sit the exam and pass it with flying colors. Amazing. All right, so I'm going to say a couple of things about TKT, and you tell me if it is true or false, okay? So respond to me using the chat box. So TKT is the most widely recognized teaching qualification. True. Yeah, it is very popular. It is very popular indeed. And it's affordable, it's manageable, it's easy to take, right? Basically, you don't need to take a preparation course. You can just flick through some pages, do a couple of sample tests, right? But of course, if you have some friends who are interested in developing professionally, yeah, you can arrange a group, come together and discuss some of the things. That's what makes it practical and useful. Okay, TKT is hands-on experience, and you can become a better teacher. Okay, you're quite optimistic about it. Well, technically speaking, there is no practical component in TKT, unlike CELTA, Delta, other courses, used to be available in the past. There is only a test, yeah, a test of teaching knowledge. But if you explore it properly and reflect on the tasks, examples given there, probably you can also improve your teaching practice. Okay. So if you take TKT, you can earn a certificate. Okay, sounds right, yeah? Well, yeah, what's the point of taking the test without getting a certificate? Yeah, you need to be rewarded. Exactly. Okay, you can fail TKT. Okay, quite a few, yeah, falses or no's in the chat box. Yeah, so what is good about TKT is that you will be awarded a band depending on the depth of your knowledge. And the deeper the understanding, the higher the band obviously is, yeah. But you can't fail it, so there will be the certificate issued anyway. Okay, so if you can plan detailed lessons, you'll be awarded band 4. Okay, well, obviously, if you can plan well, yeah, you are aware of the principles of teaching, yeah, how languages are learned, something from module 1, yeah, we can brush up on that because lesson planning depends on what principles you are relying on, right? Probably you'll be able to answer all the questions. I quite agree that it's helpful. Okay, so understanding the language learning concept will help you pass the test. Yeah, absolutely right. Okay. Okay, there are 5 modules in TKT. Okay. Yes, okay, so some of you are saying 3. Yes, and you're right. Actually, I have this slide to confirm that. So there are 3 core models, but you can also consider taking specialist models, yeah, and they're really interesting, especially if you want to understand better how to teach young learners, or you want just to confirm that you're well aware of this age group, yeah. And also CLIL, which stands for Content and Language Integrated Learning. And because it is about content, teaching something in English, yeah, it might be really useful for subject teachers who work in English, yeah, or those who want to become English teachers, but they're subject teachers right now, or just teachers who want to integrate an element of CLIL in their teaching. Right, exactly. Okay, as you can see here, all the models have something in common. So what exactly do they share? Use the chat box. Tell me what you can see. Yes, so we have 80 minutes given to answer 80 questions. Absolutely right. Yeah, so the number of questions and the time given. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think yesterday, Yelena said that an online test is going to be available soon. So good changes, actually. Right. Okay. Now, remember I talked about certificates and bands. How many bands are they available in TKT? What's the highest? 4, exactly. So have a look. Yeah, that's what the system looks like. Yeah, so if you have limited knowledge, it's band 1, but you still earn the certificate. And the deeper your knowledge and better understanding, yeah, if you have a clear understanding of all the principles and can cope with time pressure, then you can achieve band 4. And the certificate will look like this. Actually, all Cambridge certificates look similar. You can see the qualification, for example, TKT in this case, yeah. Then the model that you've taken, so you can take each model separately. And also the band that you've been awarded, yeah. So it's quite rewarding, actually. So you just take a test, it's just an hour and a half, around that, yeah. And you can earn an international certificate. Isn't it nice? Okay, so I've got a question about the sources of information. And those of you who are experienced participants, could you help me, please? So which website can we use to find more information about TKT and find some relevant materials for TKT? Yes, obviously, Cambridge website. Yeah, absolutely. So it looks like this, cambridgeenglish.org. Yeah, and you can see, exactly. Yeah, well done. And you can find the section on the relevant exam you're taking, choosing the right model, and then you can read and get lots of free materials and useful information about it. How can you register? Yes, thank you, Yelena. So the link is in the chat box. So those of you who don't know how to find this website, follow the link, save it somewhere. Use bookmarks. All right, now let's think about registration. Yeah, so technically speaking, how can you register? Yes, absolutely right. So you can follow that link, and there will be find the exam center. Yeah, thank you, Juliana, again. Right. And yeah, so there is this kind of search functionality you can use, search for an exam center, and it's very easy to find. So usually, it's like that. And then you find the dates that are available and you can register online. Yeah. Great, amazing. So we've talked about the website and what we can use it for. Now let's specify the resources that you can find on the website. What do you remember? Which things can we download, can we use for our exam preparation? Who remembers? Yeah, those. Yes, sample tests. Very good. What else? Glossary. Yeah, there is one glossary for TKT3 models, but you can also find CLIL glossary if necessary, right? There used to be different types of glossaries like alphabetic and topical. I think there is only one available at the moment, but drop me a line if you are interested. I can share both. Yeah, so there are Handbooks, yes. Again, for all 3 models, yeah, core models, there is one handbook that you need with some sample tests. Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, and then, yes, some lesson plans for the training sessions, but I don't think it's very useful for those who are going to prepare for the test on their own. Anyway, so yeah, those are the things we've just talked about. Handbook, this is the primary source of information. You can see the whole overview, what to focus on, what the models are designed for and how they've been designed. Then sample tests, yeah. The glossary, which is a separate booklet, yeah, and you can also search for some sample papers. Great. Right. There are also some additional books that we mentioned yesterday. So those of you who have, yeah, Murphy, for example, yeah, Hammer, fantastic, Penny Swans. Yeah, so I'm showing just a few here. And yesterday I shared a list of books, both on methodology and language awareness wise, yeah. Today, at the end of the presentation, I'll also show some links to useful, sorry, not links, references, yeah, to useful books that you can consider. Yeah, exactly. Of course, the list of books is not limited. Yeah, you can start by reading just the TKT course book, and then having understood that perhaps there is a gap in knowledge or something, you can find the right chapter in, for example, Essential Teacher Knowledge, book by Jeremy Hammer. It's very good, and it is of the right level for TKT candidates, right? If you want to get more examples, perhaps more explicit explanation of different areas, refer to Jim Scribner's book, Learning Teaching, or Hammer's book, yeah, Practical Usage, whatever. So basically there are lots of good resources. So whatever you find available can work for you. Exactly, methodology, yeah, yeah. Right. Now, so remember again, we have 5 models. And previously, we've talked about Model 1. And we talked about how languages are learned in general. We talked briefly about the differences between acquisition and language learning, like first language, comparing that type of learning, acquiring it effortlessly, and second language acquisition, which is likely to be more conscious, yeah, as a process, because we can rely on our knowledge of the first language there. Exactly, second language acquisition, right. We also talked briefly about different methodologies, yeah, approaches, and presentation techniques. Now, could you use the chat box to type in some acronyms that we used yesterday, like presentation techniques? Remember PPP? What else have we mentioned? Yeah, CLIL, of course, yeah, that's one of the things. TTT, very good. Yeah, TBL, oh, awesome. You remember quite a lot. TPR, yes. CELTA, well, CELTA used to be an acronym. Now it's no longer an acronym. Yeah, it's just a certificate of teaching English to speakers of other languages. Yeah, so A used to stand for adult learners, but CELTA is a universal qualification, as well as TKT. It's basically for everyone. Great, great. You remember a lot, yes. Amazing. Okay, so so briefly, yeah, just for those who missed the previous session. So PPP stands for presentation, help me. Practice. Presentation, practice, production, absolutely right, awesome. It's a reliable technique, especially when you work with low-level students and you assume well, you don't know much about your learners, yeah? And that's how you clarify the topic, yeah, the target language, and then put it into practice from controlled to freer practice, yeah, giving students a chance to focus on fluency as well towards the end of the lesson. But if you assume your students have some background knowledge, yeah, you can use test, teach, test. So TTT stands for test, teach, test. Yeah, and instead of just clarifying the target language, you test them first and then you clarify only the things they need to know. What is TBL for? Yeah, is it about teaching skills or developing, developing skills or developing systems? Yes, TBL stands for task-based learning. Well done. And what do we use it for? Systems, some people are saying. Well, in fact, TBL, yeah, is about developing productive skills. So the idea is to pre-select a particular task, an activity with a communicative focus, for example, a kind of discussion, yeah, debate, different types of role plays can be used, project work, yeah. When the students are engaged, they see the goal, and they focus on fluency and meaning a lot more than accuracy. That's the idea. So it's more about speaking, maybe writing as well. Functional language might be involved in teaching for TBL. Yeah, absolutely. All right. And there was one more acronym I remember, TPR, right? You've mentioned, which stands for total physical response. Wow, such a prompt response. Well done, Nazira. You're really attentive. Yes. Why do we need physical activities? What's the aim? What's the purpose? What's the idea behind that? What do you think? Why do we need to involve? Yeah, it's good for kids, exactly, because they're boosting energy and we need to help them release their energy at a certain stage. For beginners, exactly. For visual learners, for physical, those who want, yeah, to remember information and they better remember things, yeah, by moving things around, by being physically involved. Yeah, for kinesthetic learners, exactly. Very good. Yeah. Absolutely. And of course, to increase motivation, yeah, we just add variety to our techniques if you use an element of TPR. Of course, yeah, it can be used for giving instructions. Yeah, like if you teach imperatives, for example, that can work well. Yeah, if you teach action verbs. Yeah, exactly. Wow, awesome. You are so actively involved. Thank you very much. That's amazing. I really enjoy working with you. All right, good. So, having talked about the first module, yeah, and some of the things that we've covered already, right? Of course, there is an overlap in between what we've talked yesterday, yeah, and like what module 1 is like about, and module 2, because our lesson planning will depend, yeah, on the principles we rely on, as I have already mentioned. So let's focus on the second module. Okay, so have a look at the first question here and type in your ideas. I haven't revealed this information yet, but perhaps we have some experienced exam takers. So how many sections are there? Like logically, how do we subdivide the areas from the second module? Okay, good guesses. Yeah, so yeah, basically we have two. Yeah, I'll show you the slide. So one of them is just the principles of lesson planning, obviously. So how to sequence stages, how to set up aims, yeah, state them in a clear way, and everything that we do before the lesson, right, in terms of paperwork. So for example, if you take courses like CELTA, or you are observed by a senior teacher in your school, perhaps you have to submit this lesson plan, yeah, written formally. So that's the first area, yeah, how to do that properly. And second thing, which perhaps comes next, and it's more practical, selecting the materials, yeah, maybe designing your own teaching materials, maybe using different types of resources, yeah, for your teaching. And yeah, exactly. And it's very, very useful, of course, for everyone, because we all use course books. Sometimes we want to supplement from another source because the course book is boring or something else, or it's not level appropriate. Perhaps you want to increase the level of challenge, yeah. And then sometimes we just need to add variety, and instead of using a text from the course book, you can find an authentic text, right, to replace it. Okay, I can see some other answers. So like what they focus on, we've just talked about. How long is the test? Everyone knows, yeah, 80 minutes. And of course, there will be 80 questions. Absolutely right. Yeah, it stays the same. And it's good that you are good at remembering things like that. Now, how do you have to make your answers received and counted? What do you do? Yes, the answer sheet. There will be a special answer sheet. Now, the question is, are you given some extra time to transfer the answers to the answer sheet? That's important, right? So you need to either use the answer sheet right away, shading the lozenges, or you need to allocate some time at the end of the test, whatever works for you. I feel perhaps you can transfer the answers at the end of each section, yeah, or something like that, but there should be a kind of habit of working with the answer sheet so that you're not confused during the test, right, on the test day. So which resources you can use to prepare? Any ideas? Of course, we've mentioned quite a lot of different things previously, like from the website, some books, yeah, TKT book, of course. But if you think about this model, it's very practical. If you are a teacher already, so you give lessons, of course, you plan your lessons, yeah? So you can use your own ideas for lesson planning, right? So something like, you open up the book you are following, for example, yeah, you have a look and you evaluate what it is for, trying to identify and state the lesson aim clearly. Exactly. And then you can also see the staging that is suggested by the course book authors. But then perhaps you can make some changes because you know your learners a lot better than the course book authors, yeah? And you can motivate your learners somehow by tweaking some of the activities, by changing the sequence of the activities, maybe, like turning a PPP lesson into a TTT, and maybe using an element of guided discovery if your learners are ready for that, yeah? Right. And of course you can, yes, exactly. You can do some sample tests to understand the requirements of this model and to get better awareness of what tasks are like, which terms to use and so on. Absolutely, yeah. Okay, and the final question, yeah. What are the task types? There aren't many. There is multiple choice, matching, and I can see some of you remember that there is odd one out. Absolutely right. So what's the difference between an odd one out and, for example, true false? Oh, sorry, multiple choice, because true false is not there. Yeah. Multiple choice might be the easiest, yeah, but I think that depends on the topic. Anyway, exactly, there is one not thing in the instructions, yeah, usually like choose the answer which does not relate to this, yeah, or which is not appropriate, yeah, and so on. So those questions might be tricky, so just be attentive, and if you see not, underline it, circle it, highlight it for yourself. Exactly. Right. Okay. So as I have already mentioned, so you'll be given just 80 minutes to answer these 80 questions. And you can see the examples of tasks here. I'm also highlighting sequencing as one of the possible tasks, because sometimes you are given a sequence of stages, and a set of stages, and you have to put them in order. Yeah, it's a kind of matching, like matching the number of the stages to the activities. Yeah, but logically you're putting them in a logical order, so we can name it sequencing as well. Right, yes, exactly. So putting things in order, because that's what lesson planning is like. Yeah, deciding how to use the activities that you keep in mind, and then probably selecting which one is the most important and allocating more time for that, and giving some preparation for the students for that particular task. Now, if you look at the coverage box, yeah, that kind of line, you can see two sections. I've already mentioned that there are two topical sections there. The first one is about your skills to plan a lesson, and obviously your understanding how lessons should be planned. And also the second one, using different resources, yeah, teaching materials. Okay, so will you have to create your own teaching materials for TKT? Well, you can do, but you don't have to, because remember, in TKT, you are just choosing the right answers. You are not writing much. Well, you don't write anything, you don't produce anything, just shading the lozenges. Okay, so as the focus is on lesson planning, let's brainstorm ideas. What lesson planning is like, and what do we use it for? I think planning can help a teacher become more confident. Do you agree with me? Okay. So apart from building confidence, what else can we use at the end of the sentence to make it complete? So what? Organize the lessons properly. I totally agree. Manage the time. Fantastic idea. Absolutely right. Yes. Help students better. Yeah. Absolutely. Great. Yeah. Lots of similar ideas. Yeah. So it's about achieving a goal. Absolutely. Very good. Yeah. You can plan different techniques. For example, feedback techniques. Yeah. How to organize the whole lesson, how to be in charge of different stages and manage them properly, like different activities to warm students up or to clarify the language. Yeah, so you plan the procedure, showing the sequence of the stages. Yeah, very good. Yeah, the shape of the lesson. Yeah, you can also give some information about the class, yeah, that you're teaching, and showing your understanding, yeah, of their needs, preferences, and so on. That can help you plan your lesson properly, and obviously motivate your students during the lesson. Great. Right, you can anticipate some problems. Very good, Mariana. Yeah. Yes, and you can plan different approaches, different methods, just because you know your students and you want to keep them alert, motivated, right? So perhaps you need to use a variety of techniques for that. Great, amazing. Yes, class profile, I've seen. Okay, so you're already mentioning some components, yeah, that belong to a formal lesson plan template. Yeah, I agree. But I wanted actually to brainstorm more ideas, what planning is like. And for that, I've got some quotes, yeah, different teachers. I collected opinions of different teachers. Yes, it can also help you personalize, yeah, the topic of the lesson. Absolutely right, yeah. So here is the board. with different opinions of different people. Now, you can see they are different colors, right? So for example, green, planning lessons with experience, or yellow, planning can help teach produce a stimulating lesson, yeah, and some others. So I want you to read them all. I'll take a pause and drink some water, and you will decide which one resonates with you and type in the color of that citation, okay? Yeah, thank you for sharing your ideas. I can see you keep typing them. Well done. Some preferences already appear. Blue. I also like blue. Green. Blue and green. Okay. The whole rainbow. Yeah. Good. All of them. Black. Good. Yeah, I like black. Yeah. I think this is the most important thing, actually, yeah, that you keep in mind your students. It's not the material that you're following. It's not something mechanical, right? I have to cover this page or something like that, yeah? No, the people are in front of you, and you need to keep an eye on them, see what their needs are like, and respond to their queries and so on. Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's have a look at all of them step by step. So some people agree that planning lessons with experience. Well, honestly, I'm not quite sure. Unfortunately, with teaching practice, you get more ideas how this or that can be done. And sometimes when you start planning a new lesson, you might get stuck because you have so many things that come to mind. Yeah, and it takes time to choose the right one, to prioritize and so on. So quite often I can see stronger teachers give great lessons, but they find it hard to plan everything, you know, on time, yeah, to fit, to meet their time requirements, because they have too many ideas and they want to do thorough research and everything, right? So perhaps you're more confident, you are better aware of the language and how to clarify it, yeah, but still it'll take some time, you know, to plan a good lesson. Then with the purple quote, I think we all agree, yeah? So if you at least consider a couple of things in advance, of course, you'll be better prepared. And then you can think on your feet during the lesson and respond accordingly, being flexible enough, yeah, to meet your students' needs, to cater for their needs, right? And then yellow quote, yeah, that kind of creativity, and we are all talented people, of course. We want our lessons to be wow, yeah, stimulating, motivating, yeah, so that the students at the end of the lesson, they say something like, wow, the lesson is over, how come? We want more, right? We want that. And to produce such an effect, perhaps you need to plan your lessons. You can't do it on the go. Right, exactly. Okay, now the red one, yeah, planning depends on familiarity. So of course, if you start teaching a lesson you've never delivered previously, yeah, for example, I don't know, if you've never taught exam classes and this is your first course, of course it'll be more challenging, right? But if it is like the 10th course of the same kind, using the same course book, perhaps it will be easier, of course. But still, the students are new, they have different needs, their expectations might be different, they may have different strengths and areas to work on and so on. So again, any course is a different course, yeah? You can't repeat, you know, copy and paste the same materials, the same activities, the same techniques from course to course. Then, of course, blue, the blue quote is, it goes without saying, right? So, of course, it's part of our work, and it's good if you can go unprepared and you feel quite confident with your group of students, but at a certain stage, you understand that it's not the most effective way of working, right? Good, amazing. Okay, you know what? I am a fan of different types of metaphors. And for today, I've prepared a set of metaphors about a lesson, right? So what our lessons might look like metaphorically. So have a look. So in my opinion, a lesson should be like a menu with a set of free options for teachers and for students. So for example, I may come to a lesson to my group of students and they can say, you know what, I've got 5 activities for today. There is one text we can read, and there is also a nice game. So would you prefer to play the game right now or at the end of the lesson? So it's already an option, and they can be responsible for how to shape our lessons. And quite often, you know, when you ask such a question, you're well prepared to adjust and maybe persuade them to do it in the right way. But still, they can respond better to that, right? So, okay, so we've just talked about one metaphor, a menu. Now pick up the metaphor that you like more. Yes, they do like different choices, a set of options. Eating a meal, I like it. Okay, yeah. I think there is something enjoyable there, yeah. When we have a meal, we usually choose something that we like, yeah, and we also enjoy the process. Yeah, good. Game. Okay, so there is an element of fun. And of course, that helps us motivate students if there is such a thing, yeah? So you said a wedding. What makes you think that a lesson might feel like a wedding? Could you give me an idea? A goal, okay, yeah, we can say, yeah, there is a kind of goal. Yeah, yes, there is a ceremony, of course, and there is some kind of enjoyable experience there and social event, and we follow a certain procedure. Yes, absolutely right. And happiness, of course, joy. Yeah, although it might be quite stressful at the same time to organize everything, to arrange everything properly. But yes, a conversation, of course, because we are using the communicative approach and we try to allocate enough time for meaningful communication. Yeah, absolutely. A television show, so there might be different roles that we have to take, right? And there might be an element of a quest of some kind, yeah, a quiz show, talk show, something like that, yeah. And students can be hooked if you set it up in this way, yeah. Exactly, and there is an element of performance, absolutely. Then yeah, the dynamic actually, yeah, with your students, yeah, like this rapport that you can build can be better developed, built up if you use a variety of things, yeah. If your students put some effort into learning, so it's hard work, right? And also they can see that they are achieving a goal, and it is hard at this time, but at the top they can feel a sense of satisfaction. They've achieved the goal that they were going for, yeah, something like this. Nobody is saying consulting a doctor. So we don't like doctors, do we? I think there is this element of a conversation, obviously, and obviously discussing a problem. Yeah, and quite often our role as teachers is to support our students. So that was what doctors do as well, right? Yeah, students don't like doctors. Yeah, probably. So we've talked about a variety of metaphors, and we've talked about the importance of interactions with students, goal-oriented effort, yeah, also building meaningful communication with your students, and making our lessons enjoyable, right? Those things we need to consider when we plan our lessons. Yeah, and what it might entail, yeah. We can choose a variety of activities and techniques. And that's why the metaverse can really help you. You can use different lesson frameworks, for example, PPP and TTT or TBL, depending on the aim, of course, of the lesson, your students' needs, their knowledge, their areas of weaknesses, and so on. Then lesson planning involves stating your aims clearly for yourself so that you can evaluate the success of your lessons, Because if the goal is vague, it's very hard to say whether it was successful or not, right? That lesson. We'll talk about the essential lesson components in a moment, but you've mentioned quite a few already. So sequencing activities, if you keep in mind this kind of metaphor, wedding, so the procedure is very important. So what we do first, some kind of introduction, this kind of procedure like going down the aisle, and then the culmination and some kind of party at the end, an element of fun at the end of the lesson, that might help, right? Again, a logical progression from something light to something serious to something meaningful when they can apply their knowledge towards the end of the lesson. Yeah, exactly. And then you can plan perhaps not only one lesson, but you consider, that your students are taking a course of study and the lessons should be somehow connected. So in many lesson templates, official or formal templates, you can see timetable fit, so that you can show how your lesson is built on the previous ones, and how it can help to focus on something in the future lessons. Apart from planning something technical and preparing materials and so on, perhaps you can also plan how to interact with students. And occasionally it'll be pair work. Hopefully there will be some individual work. And also you can arrange the tables, the chairs, if it is an offline class, so that students can really enjoy that experience, If they're playing a game, for example, perhaps they can sit around a table, or if they work in pairs, it can be arranged differently, of course, right? Or there might be a kind of circle at the beginning of the lesson when they all stand up, come together and do something active. Like if you work with adult learners, perhaps you know that having done, something serious during the day, they sometimes come to your lessons and they want to be entertained. And finally, perhaps quite important, is also to select some assessment activities, some tools that will help you collect information about students' performance. What makes the lesson successful? What evidence can you give? Exactly, Gulsara. We can give some control practice tasks, a kind of test, It doesn't have to be a formal test, of course. It can be just observing your students, taking notes about their contributions, their ideas and language use, so that you can give feedback. I've seen that in the chat box. You focus on feedback quite a lot. I agree that this is one of the most important lesson components. And we can plan feedback techniques in advance, of course. Using peer correction, Okay, so let's go over the metaphors again. So we had, for example, a football match or climbing a mountain, because there is a goal there, and the students need to be reminded of goals, right? And perhaps you can sometimes write on the whiteboard, the key stages or the goals for the lesson, so that the students know well what you're driving at. So what other key functions of the lesson can you think of? So it's a goal-oriented activity. What else? It's an assessment tool. Absolutely right. Good. What else? Yeah, so we use different activities, and we can also, respond to the students' needs, relying on their background knowledge. Absolutely. Amazing. Yeah. Yeah, we can promote interaction. Yeah. Yeah, there will be a combination of new materials and something to revise. Very good. Amazing. Yeah, there will be some consolidation. Very good. Yes, we've mentioned assessment already. Yeah, absolutely. So I also have the classroom dynamics and building rapport with the students. You've mentioned that briefly, talking about the class profile, yeah, but we keep collecting information about the learners. Like, for example, you've run a new activity and then you evaluate it. Oh, that went really well. Perhaps in a week's time, I can repeat a similar activity, yeah, run a similar activity, but using some new topics or whatever, yeah. Or, it could have worked better if I arranged pairs at this stage, yeah, or something like that. So you collect information about their preferences, and you can see that some students work together well and some of them don't. Exactly, yeah, needs. Also, a lesson can be a series of choices. We need to add variety to our classes, yeah, to our lessons in general. The course book is a kind of patchwork, right? And the students can benefit from being exposed to a variety of things. Also, we can keep in mind that there is this culture. So when they enter the room, they know that there are certain rules, there are certain boundaries, and it's like a game, and they usually accept the rules of this game, right? For example, in my classes, usually we have the rule, yeah, it's an English-speaking zone, right? So when they enter the room, they know that they're not allowed to speak L1, yeah, to use L1. And it's a kind of game. It's okay. Usually they cope well, even low-level students. And it's a matter of habit, of course. So there is this kind of culture that we create, a kind of atmosphere, conducive to learning, positive, supportive, yeah, and so on. Yes, and they feel at ease, exactly, right. And that's why one of the techniques that you can use is reformulation instead of interrupting students, yeah, and correcting them without sensitivity. Amazing. Right, okay, having talked about some metaphors, functions, and important things, let's have a look at their lesson plan components. So in TKT glossary, you can find the definitions of all the terms. But because I know that there are some tricky questions related to different terms in TKT, I've prepared a set of materials to help you brush up on some of the terms from the list. Yeah, because okay, Mark is asking if we should correct immediately or not. Well, that depends, of course, on the stage of the lesson and your priorities in general. Yeah. So perhaps if it is a lesson on speaking, I wouldn't correct, I wouldn't use immediate correction, right? But if it is a lesson on grammar and they make an error during control practice, it's easy to prompt them to eliminate that problem, yeah, and avoid facilization. Okay, so which of the lesson components you find challenging? You're not sure what they mean. Or type in the plus if all of them are clear. Yes, timing is really challenging. I agree. Yeah, especially if you have lots of ideas and you want to use all of them. Fantastic activities, this and that. Yes, exactly. That might happen. But then perhaps at the lesson planning stage, you can mark some important stages like core stage, yeah, and you give enough time for them. And some stages can be labeled like optional, yeah, I'll skip it if we don't have time, or this is only if students need more controlled practice, but it's optional, something like that. Flexi stages can help, yeah. And then, of course, assumptions, you're making assumptions. Yeah, let's talk about the difference between assumptions and anticipated problems, because, you know, we assume, yeah, we don't know for sure, and we anticipate certain problems. But assumptions is something positive, yeah, something that can help you in the lesson. So, for example, I believe the topic is going to be appealing, and this is great. Yeah, I rely on that knowledge or my assumption. Yeah, and yeah, it is positive. And if I think that the topic is likely to be challenging, like, for example, environmental issues for young learners, like teenagers, yeah, then I can anticipate such a problem and think of a solution. Yeah, I'll run a lead-in, yeah, engaging students with the topic, trying to motivate them, and so on, right? Of course, a lead-in is always important, but sometimes it's more, it's vitally important. Yeah, it becomes key. Mm-hmm. Right. Okay, so we have all the components here, and we are going to use them in a moment. There will be a matching task for you. So if you remember the components, that's fine. If you don't, then take a screenshot. Be ready to use these terms. Yeah, all of them will be necessary. Mm-hmm. And I'll show you the next task. Type in a plus in the chat box if you've taken the screenshot and you're ready to move on. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Yeah, great. Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, I assume more or less everyone is ready. So the task is going to be to match the components to their descriptions, yeah, what they are used for, and the ideas presented on the slide. So, for example, let's look at A. Be clear about what you want to achieve. What's that about? Aims, absolutely, of course. Mm-hmm. How about B? Make notes on what the learners know or can do. Yeah, it's a kind of class profile and also assumptions. Yeah, they know they can do, it'll help me in the lesson, right? They know some phrasal verbs, and we are going to explore more. So I am relying on their background knowledge. Mm-hmm. Good. Very good. Okay, let's move on. C, just start teaching from wherever the learners are in the course book. There is no need for other teaching aids. What's that about? No. Yeah, I like it. Yeah. Yeah, there is something wrong here. Basically, it's about the procedure. Yeah. But also it's about anticipating some problems, thinking about your learners' needs, yeah, planning ahead and so on, right? So that's not a good thing to do, obviously. We'll change this statement, yeah? How can we change it? So we can choose the relevant teaching materials. We can evaluate the teaching materials available, yeah, and adjust them to the needs of our students, exactly. Maybe designing our own activities, maybe taking some supplementary sources, yeah, and so on. Mm-hmm. Great. Okay, let's move on. D, research and do research and make notes on the vocabulary and grammar I plan to teach. Is it a good idea? Yes, it is about language analysis, and I think it's worth confirming everything, yeah, using, for example, books by Parrott or Swan, yeah, or at least Murphy, or at least the back of the course book can help to give you an overview what this target language is like, right? And then, of course, you anticipate some linguistic problems there. And that's the key, because you don't teach everything. It's impossible to teach everything in one lesson, yeah? You have to focus on a particular area depending on your learners' gaps in knowledge. Mm-hmm. Okay, amazing. Let's move on. E, getting tasks in a logical order is really important. Well, yes, it's about materials and also the procedure. So what staging we'll be using, like which lesson frameworks we'll be using, TTT, PPP. Yeah, if it is a lesson on reading, there will be like leading to reading tasks, maybe pre-teaching vocabulary at a certain stage, and then post-reading productive stage. Yes, exactly. The order. Okay, F. There is nothing you can do about things going wrong in the lesson. False, exactly. No. Of course, they might things that go wrong, yeah, but we anticipate some of them and we are better equipped, and that's how we can react spontaneously and choose the right techniques, changing some of the things during the lesson, thinking on your feet, responding accordingly to your learners. Absolutely. Problems and solutions. Very good. Now, G. Decide whether the learners will be working alone, in pairs, or in groups. Yes, a lot of you are saying interaction patterns already. Yes, maybe class profile as well, because you keep in mind, yeah, which of their preferences you can rely on, right? There might be some particular students who don't work with this or that person, yeah, or there might be some latecomers, yeah, and that's how you decide whether to allocate pairs or to send them to the breakout rooms at the beginning of the lesson or do it late and so on. Good. Okay, and let's focus on age. Yeah, what's this about? It's about timing, right? Quite a challenging thing to do, but perhaps our priority is to allocate plenty of time for the core activity. So if it's a lesson on reading, then the second reading task is likely to be the most challenging. We need a lot of time for just doing the task, discussing in pairs, and also giving feedback, checking comprehension, yeah, explicitly. The same if it is a lesson on speaking, then that speaking activity should be pretty lengthy, and you prepare students for it properly. Yes, it is about time management. Okay, so let's just correct these things that are wrong, and that's how I've changed them. Does it make sense? Use a plus if you agree. Right. Yeah, there might be a set of materials you'll be using, not necessarily just the course book. Yeah, quite a few things. And at the moment we run a lot of online classes. Probably you can choose a website of some kind to entertain students a little bit using like Google Jamboard or some pictures from the internet, or creating some activities that students can do online, getting feedback immediately. Things like that, yeah. Yeah, by the way, talking about some online tools, let's just briefly brainstorm which website do you like using. So for example, interactive worksheets, that's the one I like. Maybe Word Wall, yeah. Could you type in some, yeah, Kahoot, great, yeah. Yeah, worksheets, yeah. Word Wall, of course, good, yeah. Quizlet, I love it. Yeah. Okay, great ideas. Yeah, and some ready-made things for teachers, One Stop English, BBC Learning. Yeah, exactly. Well, you see, we're on the same page. Yeah, like-minded people think alike. Yeah. Okay, amazing. Yeah, Jamboard. Yeah, great. Okay, so let's consider different types of aims in a lesson. So you can see probably 4 prompts. So there will be at least 4 types. So could you give me an idea what lesson aims do we have to consider? Main, absolutely right. It might be on different things, for example, writing, but yes, main, and the opposite of the main aim will be, okay, personal or subsidiary. Yeah, very good. So main, personal, subsidiary. There might be something else. Social, cultural, good. Yeah, so we can split our aims into linguistic and skill-wise and like developmental, for example, if you want. Exactly. Great ideas. There is one thing I can't see. In the procedure, you also identify aims. Yes, stage aims, absolutely. Fantastic. Yeah, you're well prepared. Yes, and those of you who mentioned writing, for example, obviously I agree. So technically speaking, we can split all the lessons. Remember, we've talked about that on skills and systems, right? Especially if you run like 1 hour lessons or 1 academic hour lessons, yeah? You can't focus on too many things. And there will be the main priority. So for example, developing writing skills, right? And then giving students some linguistic support will be your sub-aim, right? For example, some functional language, yeah, discourse markers of some kind, yeah. So subsidiary aim, and obviously stage aims, those that you've set for different activities, yeah, in your procedure, they should match your lesson aims. One of them will become your main aim, and the rest will go to sub-aims. And then your personal aim, that's interesting. What might become a personal aim? Who can give me an example of a good personal aim? Yes, something for your improving your teaching skills, like board work, fantastic, yeah. Time management, yeah, maybe teacher talk, your classroom language that you'll be using, giving clear instructions, things like that. Great, yeah. Yeah, more student-student interactions. Eye contact, great, yes. Classroom management in general, yeah, like, yeah, polishing your instructions, monitoring, using a variety of techniques, maybe feedback techniques, gestures. Interesting, yeah, very good, yeah. Yeah, great ideas. Okay, let's focus on different types of aims, because there are a couple of other terms I haven't mentioned yet. Now, technically speaking, what the teacher wants to achieve in the lesson or in the course will be the aim, right? But there are many different types of aims. So we've talked about main, subsidiary, personal, and stage aims, but there are some other terms we can use, yeah, in TKT. We can see these terms in different tasks. So let's focus on number 2, yeah? It's likely to be the main aim. Yeah, I can see the answer. Very good. How about number 3? Stage, yes, perfect, well done. Yeah. So number 2 is main, number 3 is stage aim. How about number 4? Yes, that's a subsidiary aim, sub-aim. Good, let's move on. Have a look at number 5. Exactly, that's a personal aim. Yeah, and we've just been given a very good example. Quite a few examples, honestly. Number 6 might be tricky. Let's think about number 6. It doesn't have to be personal, no. And it's not a stage aim either. They're specific targets, and they're very helpful in meeting your lesson aims there. The first letter is O. outcome. Well, actually, we will need another O word in number 7. Yeah, objective. Very good, amazing. So we have perhaps 2 terms that we haven't mentioned recently, but now you can see them here on the slide. Number 6 is an objective and number 7 is an outcome. Yeah. So if you state your lesson aims as an outcome, it's clear what you'll be achieving. Yeah. What you want to achieve. Like by the end of the lesson, the students will have practiced speaking for fluency by discussing some problems in the city. I don't know, possible problems in the city, yeah, or something. Yeah, right. So occasionally you can see objective as one of the terms in TKT. You don't have to differentiate between them, but just to be sure that you know what it is, like a synonym for aim. Right. So again, just to clarify a couple of things, yeah, how to state aims. So if you can see something like to help the students do this and that, to do this and that, something like this, those are just neutral aims. Yeah, they can be main or sub aims. Stage aims are very specific usually, yeah, and they relate to a particular activity, a particular focus at a certain stage of the lesson. However, stage aim should be stated in relation to the main aim, the main focus of the lesson. So for example, to give a model instead of just developing listening skills, yeah, it's not just a recording, it's a model for the speaking task. We have already talked about how to state an aim so that it sounds like an outcome, and it's easier to, yeah, you can use SWOT analysis. Yeah, good. That's a great idea. So if it's stated as an outcome, it's easier to evaluate the success of such a lesson. Yeah, if the students can actually talk confidently about, for example, their hobbies at the end of the lesson, then the aim has been achieved. And yeah, the personal aims are given here, but your examples were fantastic. Okay. Any questions so far about the aims? Okay, seems clear. Very good, amazing. So let's then move on and let's talk about something that you can see. What do you expect to see in the real test? Yeah. So for example, you might be asked to match different types of aims to the examples. So here is the matching task for you. The lesson aims are given and there are 4 examples. So improve whiteboard. Yeah, it's likely to be a personal aim. Absolutely right. Yeah, that's 1C. Revise sport vocabulary is likely to be either main, yeah, or subsidiary aim. That depends, of course, on the lesson shape. Yeah, to read a text again can be main, can be subsidiary, but the way it is stated, I would say it's a sub aim. It's likely to be, or maybe even a stage aim. Yeah. And then we have number 4, a complete, yeah, aim stated explicitly. Perhaps it's our priority. Right. Okay. Does it make sense? Do you have the same? Okay, some people have a letter F for whatever reason. I don't know. We don't have F. Yeah. Good. Okay. Yeah. It seemed the same. Yeah. What we are typing. Great. Okay. Perhaps one more task, sample task from one of the sample papers. Now, it's another matching task. They are quite popular. So have a look. What's number 1? Okay, so we have a couple of different ideas. 1A, 1C, 1B, I can see. Interesting. So when we recycle language, we can use a variety of tasks, of course, right? So let's have a look at number 1. The teacher asks students to complete sentences with the correct form of the present perfect. This is, okay, what makes you think it's to recycle? Interesting. That might be a good idea, of course, but yeah. And then refer to the grammar section to remind them of the rules, yeah? So we find keywords there, remind them, recycle, yeah? Yeah, there is an element of recycling there. Very good. Yeah, those of you who spotted that. And then number 2, the beginning of a video. And what might happen next? Yeah, predictions. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, let me just confirm the answers. So, well, first of all, number 1 is not about vocabulary, neither number 2 is. So B is an odd one out. Yeah, again, quite often you are given different number of options and well, options that you have to match in different parts, just to add the level of challenge, yeah, to add to that. And you will have to eliminate the one that you don't need. Okay, one more sample task, because you're doing really great. So let's just have a look at this one. Okay, let me have a look. 1C, quite a lot of you think it's 1C. And 2A. Well, occasionally I can see 2B, and yeah, there are some different answers, but mainly you agree. Okay, so let's have a look. So listen and do something, yeah? Putting the pictures in order. What it is used for, of course, to check comprehension, yeah? So that's how we can understand that the students got the idea of the recording, yeah? Of the text. And then listen and identify which words are stressed, yeah? They're not focusing, this task is not designed to focus on the comprehension. There is nothing to correct yet. It's just to work on pronunciation. First, we identify the stressed words, and then perhaps we ask the students to listen and repeat to the same sentences. Yeah, exactly. So it's quite a nice drilling technique. There is a model, and then you attract students' attention to the sentence stress, and then you ask them to practice. Might be interesting, I don't know. That depends on the choice of the recording, I guess. Okay, so let's move on. Now I have some terms, and I think we've mentioned them previously, like assumptions, class profile, differentiation, and teaching aids. I'm going to read out one of them, and you tell me which one I am defining. It's a description of the learners and information related to their learning. Their age might be mentioned there, their ability, their strengths and weaknesses. Amazing, you're very good. Yes, okay. The things that a teacher uses in a class, such as handouts, pictures, realia, gestures, a whiteboard, perhaps corkboards, whatever. Yeah, so from the slide you can see teaching aids. And there are many, of course, yeah. Great, okay. Could you give me a definition of differentiation? I've seen actually, some of you have suggested differentiation. So how would you clarify it? Use the chat box, please. Variety, give me more information. Different levels, yeah, so we want to adjust our tasks so that, Yes, they are suitable for different types of styles, learning preferences, and learning abilities. Yeah, absolutely. Great. Okay. And then assumptions, is it a synonym for anticipated problems? No. Okay, things to consider, expectations. Yeah, something good. Yeah, what you know about your learners. Yeah, exactly. So have a look at the definitions. Hopefully there are no surprises here. Yes, good or positive, exactly. That's what assumptions are like. And if you mention something negative, something that might be a hurdle, then it is already an anticipated problem, and you need to provide a solution for that. Great. Okay, now let's focus on the class profile. So we can mention something about previous learning experience, level, age. What else? Yeah, what else can we mention in the class profile? Yeah, weaknesses, interests, very good, their preferences. Yeah, maybe something about their aptitude, their abilities, cultures, very good, yes. Yeah, age, definitely, yeah. Maybe some, yeah, features of character, traits of character, yeah, fears, oh, that's interesting, yeah, maybe. Great, yeah. I'm going to show you a description of a class profile I used to teach at a certain stage. I want you to see if I've mentioned everything we've just talked about, or maybe there is something else. Yes, so interests and abilities, we've talked about that. Gender, very good, that can help, yeah. Yeah, something about, yeah, some personal information about them. Yeah, you can also see that there is a note about their attendance, yeah, because sometimes, you know, we expect quite a lot of latecomers, or the attendance is irregular or something else. It might affect the class dynamics. Yeah, exactly. Yes, and lots of information about their preferences and abilities, of course. Again, if there is a huge gap in age, yeah, if they're different, it's important to highlight. Right. Yeah, you can also see something related to time management. Yeah, so they're likely to be fast finishers at certain tasks. Yeah, there are like those who prefer to do things quickly. They don't think much, perhaps, but they're good at making spontaneous decisions. Yeah, whereas others prefer to take more time to think and so on. Again, you need to consider different needs when you run your lessons. Okay, awesome. Okay, now let's imagine this is your group and you have to teach it. What problems can you anticipate? So let's brainstorm ideas related to different possible problems. What's likely to happen? Yes, they might be active and passive learners, absolutely right. So some students might be reluctant to participate in discussions, yeah, especially open class discussions. Yeah, their levels might be different, yeah, and they have different interests, good. Yes, they don't want to talk in open class activities because they're shy. Yeah, they have different traits of personality. Yeah, Yeah, some of them are more confident than others. Very good. They have different learning preferences, styles, and so on. Yeah, so they may misunderstand something. Very good. Yeah, shy students, obviously. Yeah, different life experience and different expectations, therefore. Yeah, things like that. Yeah, very good. Yeah, so if you work with different age groups, perhaps you can also say something about their physical needs, yeah, as well. Good. So have a look. Yeah. So we mentioned that the topic might not be interesting for everyone. So here is the first problem. Then some students obviously might be stronger, some students might be weaker and shyer. So there might be some kind of dominant students, yeah, or some students who get bored easily. Technical problems is it might be an issue, especially if you run online classes, but even offline we use different types of technology, so this is important to consider. Some tasks may be too long because, you know, students are eagerly sharing their ideas, their opinions, and you can't stop them, yeah. And your feedback might be unclear to some students. They may start asking questions or whatever, yeah, those things. Okay, now, when we have anticipated problems, we need to think of a solution. So help me, please. The topic is not appealing. What can be done? So how can we cope with, yeah, you can change the topic, but if you understand that it's not appealing at the beginning of the lesson, you can't change your materials right now. Good, a lead-in can help, yeah, you can personalize the topic, yeah, you can change it slightly just to make it more relevant for them, yeah, a little bit of adaptation can help, yeah, exactly. Okay, amazing. Let's move on. Dominant students, stronger, weaker students. Yeah, I've seen an idea of changing partners, yeah, and helping weaker students work with stronger students. But, you know, I'm not sure it can facilitate the situation because stronger students will be still dominating, yeah. Yeah, but different tasks, yeah, can help, yeah, differentiation, very good, yeah. And occasionally you mix them up so that they're better aware of each other's needs and they can help each other. You can actually promote peer teaching, pair work, exactly. Okay, how about technology, number 3? So some of the things might stop working. What happens? Oh, well, that happens. What can we do? Yes, extra activities. Yeah, a backup plan. Absolutely right. Yes, very good. Yeah, amazing. So for example, if you wanted to play a recording, but you can't do it, perhaps you can read it out or ask 2 stronger students to read it out. Yeah, as a kind of role play in front of others. That can work. Yeah, or maybe you'll be using some other activities instead. Good. Okay, how about number 4? 2 lengthy activities. Like at the beginning, you realize that they don't know too many words and you have to clarify them because they appear in the core task. Yes, skip some activities. Very good. Shorten some of the things. Know your priority. Fantastic ideas. Well done, you're all. Excuse me. Okay, right, great. Now let's have a look at number 5. If your feedback is unclear, what can we do? Yes, actually, you can arrange pairs at that stage, helping each other understand something. Yeah, that's a good idea. And actually, feedback can be run and delivered in a student-centered way. Yeah. Yeah, very good. But also, it's important to allocate sufficient time for feedback at the end of the lesson so that you are not rushing through that stage. You can respond to them. If there are questions, that's fine. There is nothing wrong about their questions, but you need to have time to answer them all, right? Yeah, sometimes you can use L1. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so here you've got some possible solutions. Yeah, and thank you for sharing your ideas. They're also awesome. Yeah, smiles, good. Exactly, it helps, you know. If the atmosphere is positive, yeah, they feel at ease, everything usually goes smoothly. Absolutely right. Okay, now guys, I've got a question. Have you ever used English file as a course book for your students? Ah, good. We have some experienced teachers here. I'm going to show you like not even an extract, like the page from that book that I used quite a few years ago. It's even the older edition of English file, yeah. And we are going to work with different components, lesson plan components. So have a look. So just to remind those of you who remember that, and just to give you an overview what that lesson is like, yeah? It's about optimism and pessimism, and it's about different types of predictions that we can make, yeah? It's pre-intermediate level, yeah? And you can see the main aim highlighted here, right? It is a text-based presentation, yeah, which means we have some short extracts, some sentences, and the students would read them, and then they would decide like on the order, yeah, or they match something, so they are involved there, and that's how gradually you clarify meaning and then focus on the form also and drill some of the things there. So as I've mentioned, there are some sentences, and of course in the sentences we have some language, some vocabulary items. In this case, our sub-aim is to teach some verbs like win, lose, pass, fail, and so on, yeah. So we can see two aims here. Have a look. Are they on systems or on skills? Yes, exactly. It's systems. You can see grammar, making predictions, yeah, using will not, yeah, and vocabulary, the verbs that I've mentioned already. They might be also a sub-aim of reading, yeah, because they have to work with a short text there. So there is an element of skill all the time. However, in this lesson, yeah, we are focusing on systems. And of course, one of my personal aims at that stage was to focus on timing, yeah? Like many of you, I feel it's quite challenging, yeah, to meet the time requirements and still be flexible and respond to the students. Right, now I've got a question. Is it the first lesson on future forms? What can you see from the information here? Yeah, so it's a series of lessons, and previously there was an input on some other future forms like promises and instant decisions. So will is familiar to our students. It's just a new aspect of meaning that we have to clarify in this lesson, right? So we can see some background knowledge in the syllabus fit, yeah, some previous knowledge. And we also see some assumptions made about what students know and what can help you in the lesson. And obviously some possible problems and solutions that are typical, yeah, tired, reluctant to do some of the things, yeah, so a variety of tasks, different activities with an element of fun, something like guessing game can help, right? And you can see I used Quizlet cards at a certain stage. You've mentioned Quizlet as one of the tools you like. In the past, I used to print out Quizlet cards, but I'm very happy to use electronic Quizlet cards right now. Yeah, hopefully you do the same thing. Okay, so for this type of lesson, as for many other type of lessons, perhaps we need one activity at the very beginning of the lesson to generate interest to the topic. So what do we call such a thing? Yeah, so many of you are right. Of course, there is an element of warming students up at the beginning of the lesson, maybe revising something they've covered previously, but most importantly, introducing the new topic. So we call it a lead-in, yeah? Introduction of the new topic. And for example, in my lesson, I use the picture to introduce the topic, to start talking about optimism and pessimism in general. And I try to personalize the topic, like you can also use actually a glass of water if it is half full or half empty. Yeah, this kind of discussion can be used as a lead-in for this type of lesson. And then, of course, it will be fun. The students like when you use a sense of humor, and they'll be motivated in the following stages. So have a look at the extract from the procedure and tell me if I was planning to run this stage as a teacher-led stage or not. Plus or minus, teacher-led or not. Okay, so you have different opinions, but I could see that Anna and some other participants have typed minus. Actually, it's not a teacher-led because we have student-student interactions, yeah, in the middle. So first, I show them the picture, yeah, I elicit optimist, pessimist, and then I ask them to do something in pairs. So for example, talk to each other whether you think you are an optimist or a pessimist and say why, yeah? And then, of course, there will be pairs or groups arranged so that they can share ideas, and that's how we can increase student talking time, which is very useful, right? What do you think will be the next stage of this lesson? So having generated interest, what can be done next? What will be the next stage? Yeah, we can brainstorm ideas, yeah. Well, I don't think we need a warm-up after the lead-in, honestly. Probably before the lead-in, but having introduced the topic, we need to delve into the topic, yeah. Depending on the lesson frameworks that you are using, let's say if it is PPP, then you can present the target language, yeah, using text-based presentation, and then clarifying meaning, pronunciation, and form explicitly. And then, of course, there will be controlled practice and then freer practice at the end of the lesson, right? So PPP is one of the ways to run this lesson. Or you can turn it into a TTT, right? By testing students first, by asking them to match sentences with definitions, for example, yeah? Assessing their knowledge, and then clarifying something that they're still not so confident about. I'm not showing the whole procedure, yeah, but you got the idea, hopefully, right? Now, here is a sample task. In the box above, you can see all the lesson plan components, and then you have A, B, C, D descriptions. Yeah, let's match. So what's A? Yes, A is number 5, absolutely right, well done. The most important, so main aim, yeah. Again, it's easy to do such tasks because you find synonyms, you find some key ideas, but don't be distracted. Sometimes, you know, you find the right word, but in the wrong place. Okay, then B is 9, let me see. Yes, absolutely right, of course, it's a personal aim. Yeah, like reducing teacher talking time or time management in terms of creating prompts on the whiteboard. Very good. Okay, so we have C2. Let me check. Exactly what's going to happen. It's not only about interaction patterns. Maybe, one, procedure. Yes, this is the description of the procedure. Very good. Okay, amazing. I don't think D is a procedure, but those of you who are saying stage, very good, yeah? Of course, stages belong to the procedure as well as interaction patterns, yeah? But the procedure is bigger, all the details of what's going to happen. Very good, amazing. Okay, let me show you the slide with the answers, yeah? Can you see them at the bottom of the screen? Yeah, 4D or D4, whatever you say. Yeah, absolutely right. Okay, that wasn't too difficult, right? So let's focus on the interactions a little bit more. And I have some prompts for you. On the left, we have some different activities like brainstorming, discussions, role plays, and so on. On the right, we have different interaction patterns. Yeah. Now, the first interaction is individual work. Students can work on their own. So what can be done individually? Yeah, type in your ideas in the chat box. Tasks. What kind of tasks? I mean, by task, we usually use a communicative activity, yeah? So I think it's better done in pairs at least, maybe in teams. Essays, absolutely. Writing is a solitary activity as well as reading. Great ideas. Matching can be done individually first, yeah, but then of course you can ask them to check their answers with their partners. A role play individually, I'm not so sure. Control practice, yes, again, at the initial stage, it'll be done individually, but then they can discuss their ideas with their partners. Gap fills, true, yeah, very good. Okay, now let's choose the best way of running something plenary, open class. What can be done, open class? Which activity? Find someone who, great, yeah. Yeah, it's a kind of mingling, but yeah, plenary activity. Brainstorm, yes, definitely. Yeah, discussion. Yeah, good. Debates, yeah, discussions or debates. Yeah. Role play, perhaps you can use an open class demonstration, but then probably you'll split them into pairs to increase student talking time. Yeah, talk show, oh, interesting, why not? Yeah, great, okay. Now, what's the best way of using pair work? What can it be used for? Information gap is one of the ideas, role plays, yeah, great. Dialogues, labeling. Okay, so different type of activities that students work individually first, yeah, doing them, and then they check their ideas and discuss some of the things. It helps actually. You know, if you think about your students who come to your lessons to be exposed to English speaking environment, yeah, they need those opportunities to share something basic, something straightforward with their partners. Yeah, exactly. Great. Okay, amazing. Okay, so what I've got, yeah, some kind of prompts that you can see sometimes in TKT, different types of acronyms, abbreviations. So for example, if you see INT, it's likely to be about interaction patterns, yeah? Or WC, whole class, or open class, or plenary activity, yeah? And then students, it means it's kind of pair work. And if there is double S, it's likely to be about groups, teams. Yeah. If there is one S, it's about individual work. Yeah. And then WS, or HO, sometimes I use it, yeah, worksheet or handout. And then, of course, board and compact disc. And now we have some other abbreviations. For example, yeah, correction codes. Okay, yeah, you can use some codes, yeah, there. Like breakout rooms, for example, BR, for example. So there might be some other abbreviations that may be used, but try to use your imagination and common sense to interpret them. Yeah. Right. Okay. Here is a sample task. Have a look on the left. There are some extracts from the lesson plan. On the right, lesson plan components. As simple as that. So it's a matching task. Mm-hmm. 1B. Awesome. Yes. Yeah. 2D. Yeah, some kind of information from one of the stages in the procedure. Very good. Three C I can see. Yeah, so we are using photographs. Yeah. It can be also mentioned in the procedure, obviously. So, so the teaching aids are photographs only, but here you have some kind of instructions that you'll be giving. Yeah, and 4, what do we have for 4? Aims or the procedure or aims, practice listening for specific information. Yeah, of course, this might be a stage aim. Yeah, but anyway, it is an aim, right? Now, be careful. In some tasks, you can use several, one and the same option several times. Like here, you can see 2D and 3D. Yeah, it's very important to read the instructions when you do the task. Yeah, quite often it is possible to use one and the same option several times, especially if you are given like 8 extracts from the lesson plan and only 4 or 3 sometimes components. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about assessment. Remember yesterday we mentioned that there are formal and informal assessment tools. We can also differentiate between assessment and testing. Yeah, like assessment is bigger and we use sometimes formal tests to assess our students, but quite often we just monitor, we observe them and collect information about their abilities. Informally, we run many different activities and we still assess our learners, right? So, which activities do you use to assess your learners, to collect information about them? Yeah, type in your ideas in the chat box. So, different type of tasks we can use. Yeah. Placement. Okay, placement test. Yeah. True, false, very good. Yeah, I could see multiple choice. Yeah, different types of gap fills. Yeah, great. Reading comprehension, odd one out, matching, jigsaw activities. Wow, amazing. Yeah, so I've got a list of different types of tasks we can use, and you can see some more frequently used activities. They are sort of used for different purposes, and some kind of narrow areas if you focus on writing skills, yeah, or reading comprehension. Again, we can use true, false, or matching for those purposes, right? You can also set up a game, and students will be enjoying that, yeah, having fun, and you can still collect information about them. So it doesn't have to be formal all the time. It doesn't have to be like, now you're going to do the test. Yeah, You can't use anything. Yeah, a running dictation, such a wonderful idea. Yeah, very good. Now let's have a look. So here we have a situation, yeah, and reasons for assessing students. So have a read first. Okay, amazing. Yeah, I can see already some correct answers. I'm confirming them. Yeah, it's a long read, I know, but you've done your best. 2C, absolutely right. Yes, very good. Yeah, amazing. So I have to speed up a little bit because I have quite a few tasks to share. So here we've got an extract from the course book material. Yeah. Well, actually, it's a supplementary source, communication games of elementary level. And on the left, you have multiple choice tasks. It looks like multiple choice, but actually, if you look at the instructions carefully, there is not in the instruction, yeah, which makes it odd one out. So be careful, do the task, yeah, read first. Wow, I can see some people are really fast. Don't be too fast. Don't make a mistake. Keep in mind that it's odd one out. Okay. Okay. You know what? If you give directions, you can see a map and students have to collaborate, yeah, and discuss certain things that they can find in a city. You can use prepositions of time, of course. And yes, you can use present simple questions like, what are the opening hours? Or where is it? Something like this, yeah? Where do I go? Something like this, right? But reported speech, you won't be using. So which is why 1C is the right answer. Yeah, I can see some of you have selected 1C. Again, not suitable, not appropriate, yeah? For young children, I don't think this activity is perfect, honestly. The instructions are lengthy, wordy, might be confusing. For teenagers, young adults, perhaps they'll be more motivated. But again, low levels, yeah, so it's kind of tricky. Anyway, the correct answer will be 2B. So those of you who are saying 2B, well done. And for 3, so I can see some C's, well done. Yes, so I'm just confirming everything we've talked about. And I'll skip the slide about different teaching materials because we've talked about them, different types of websites, different types of visual aids, whiteboard, course books, yeah? And here is a sample task about learning aids. Have a look and give it a go. Mm-hmm. 1B, some people are saying. 1A, I like 1A better. Yeah. Authentic printed materials, booklets, leaflets. Yeah. Yeah, good. Very good, amazing. Thank you for sharing what you've got. Yeah. So we have yeah, some video clips, yeah, something that we can use for listening. At the moment, perhaps we'll be using podcasts and different YouTube videos or something like from TED Talks. But anyway, and D, of course, yeah, it's a role play, so role cards can help us arrange that. Yeah, that makes sense. Amazing. Right. So let me just skip through this slide, but you will see it at the end of their presentation. Yeah, some examples of supplementary materials are listed here, but you can also use some other authentic materials, different websites. You've mentioned quite a lot of them. Just briefly have a look at this slide, if it makes sense. Okay, and then let's summarize. What do we use supplementary materials for? Why do we need, for example, to use graded readers or some authentic texts or some games like, I don't know, Kahoot or something else? Add variety, yes, absolutely. Maybe some other reasons. What else do we need them for? What do you think? Yes, to motivate students, absolutely right, to keep them engaged. Yes, to make your lessons more memorable, interesting, to add to the variety of the interaction patterns. Yeah, especially if you work with one-to-one students, you need a variety of tasks, different types of activities. Yes, and then you need a kind of backup plan if there are technical problems, different glitches occur. Yeah, and then to overcome such problems, perhaps you need something else, a plan B. Yeah. Good, amazing. So I've got a couple of ideas here. Add variety. Sometimes we need to supplement because students need extra practice. Perhaps in your course book, you can't find a lot of activities to focus on pronunciation. So you'll be using one of supplementary sources like pronunciation games. Yeah, Mark Hancock produced quite a lot of activities. So go to his website, Hancock and MacDonald, and you can find quite a lot, quite a range of free resources. The course book doesn't have appropriate material, so we need to make some changes. Some of the things are missing or they are too dense, right? So we'll be changing them. And of course, sometimes we need to use authentic materials to show the students real life skills that they can use, yeah, and develop in the future. Okay, one more task to finish. Have a look. Okay, well done. You are really quick. 1A, I'm not sure 1 is A, honestly. 1C, better. Good, good, good. Yeah, of course. So teaching purposes, yeah, and how to adjust texts, yeah. Okay. Yeah, so here are the answers. Yeah, and of course we can adjust texts taken from the internet to cater for our students' needs. That can help them grade them, or we can grade the task, of course, but sometimes we need to replace some like too informal words, for example, yeah, something convoluted like structures, sentence structures, and something like that, yeah. Great ideas. All right, so how do you evaluate your teaching materials? So you open the course book and you see, oh, lots of colorful pictures. I can follow it blindly. What do you do? What do you keep in mind? What's the set of criteria we can use? Yeah, no, of course. So we need to treat them wisely, yeah? What do we keep in mind? Students' needs. Yeah, we can make handouts to make their materials more useful. Like sometimes there is no space, yeah, for students to take notes. Yes, material design can be improved, absolutely. How we can teach, like we can change, yeah, a teacher-led presentation into a guided discovery. Yeah, maybe there is more scaffolding necessary, like pre-teaching some vocabulary or something. Absolutely right, great ideas. Vocabulary, yes, focus on that, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, you keep in mind the level of challenge. Yeah, if it is relevant for your students, for the course in general, if the topics are appealing, if the tasks are of the right level of challenge, if students prefer to do tasks of this kind, yeah, then you can keep them or turn some of the activities into something relevant, yeah. And then, of course, ensuring that there is some recycling and consolidation and so on and so forth, yeah. And also you can promote some study skills, helping students become better learners. So here you can see some useful links, some useful resources you can use in the future if you are interested in finding out more about lesson planning and using different resources. Okay, right. And any questions? Let me have a look at the chat box. Yeah. Okay, I can't see any questions in the chat box, honestly.
Thanks, Anna. I try my best to answer. They are all, I mean, regarding not methodology, but some, you know, practical issues regarding their certificates. So everything is done over here. Okay, right. So our special thanks to Anna and, of course, our great teachers team for this wonderful job you did during the training session. I was amazed. We all were delighted with the presentation, Anna, and especially appreciated your suggested ideas for the lessons. That was really great. So it's a joy for us to work with such dedicated and talented teachers. Okay.
Thank you. It's
so
been fun. We have so many
looking
active participants. That's amazing.
perfect. I mean, looking forward to see you tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Yes. Okay. Any questions? So let's see all. Thanks. I also in the chat box put our Telegram channel. Please join just to be in the know on all the events. Okay, let me check the question box. Okay. Right, so that's the question, I mean, regarding TKT paper base. Yes, they are, so we can't change it that right now, but we do hope that Cambridge will give us this on-screen TKT testing. Let's wait. Okay, as for ebooks, I'll try to repeat one more time. So next week, you will receive a link to the form. You need to fill in the form, and only after that, because you need to choose one book out of 3 books, we'll receive your all ebooks. Don't worry, all the recordings, all the links, and this special link to the form will be in our follow-up letter. Don't worry. Okay. Right. Okay. Just, I mean, one more materials for TKT prep in the chat. Okay. So yeah, so you need to pay for TKT exam. I see the question, of course. Yes. Okay. Right. Good. So if there are no questions and we see lots of positive comments, okay. See you tomorrow and have a lovely evening. Okay.